Genesis 31. Genesis 31 verse 1. Now it came to the ears of Jacob that Laban's sons were saying, Jacob has taken away all our father's property, and in this way he has got all this wealth. Genesis 31 verse 2. And Jacob saw that Laban's feeling for him was no longer what it had been before. Genesis 31 verse 3. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Go back to the land of your fathers, and to your relations, and I will be with you. Genesis 31 verse 4. And Jacob sent for Rachel and Leah to come to him in the field among his flock. Genesis 31 verse 5. And he said to them, It is clear to me that your father's feeling is no longer what it was to me, but the God of my father has been with me. Genesis 31 verse 6. And you have seen how I have done all in my power for your father. Genesis 31 verse 7. But your father has not kept faith with me, and 10 times he has made changes in my payment. But God has kept him from doing me damage. Genesis 31 verse 8. If he said, All those in the flock which have marks are to be yours, then all the flock gave birth to marked young. And if he said, All the banded ones are to be yours, then all the flock had banded young. Genesis 31 verse 9. So God has taken away your father's cattle and has given them to me. Genesis 31 verse 10. And at the time when the flock were with young, I saw in a dream that all the he-goats which were joined with the she-goats were banded and marked and colored. Genesis 31 verse 11. And in my dream the angel of the Lord said to me, Jacob. And I said, Here am I. Genesis 31 verse 12. And he said, See how all the he-goats are banded and marked and colored. For I have seen what Laban has done to you. Genesis 31 verse 13. I am the God of Bethel, where you put oil on the pillar and took an oath to me. Now, then, come out of this land and go back to the country of your birth. Genesis 31 verse 14. Then Rachel and Leah said to him in answer, What part or heritage is there for us in our father's house? Genesis 31 verse 15. Are we not as people from a strange country to him? For he took a price for us, and now it is all used up. Genesis 31 verse 16. For the wealth which God has taken from him is ours and our children's. So now, whatever God has said to you, do. Genesis 31 verse 17. Then Jacob put his wives and his sons on camels. Genesis 31 verse 18. And sending on before him all his cattle and his property which he had got together in Paddan Aram, he made ready to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. Genesis 31 verse 19. Now Laban had gone to see to the cutting of the wool of his sheep. So Rachel secretly took the images of the gods of her father's house. Genesis 31 verse 20. And Jacob went away secretly, without giving news of his flight to Laban the Aramean. Genesis 31 verse 21. So he went away with all he had, and went across the river in the direction of the hill country of Gilead. Genesis 31 verse 22. And on the 3rd day Laban had news of Jacob's flight. Genesis 31 verse 23. And taking the men of his family with him, he went after him for 7 days, and overtook him in the hill country of Gilead. Genesis 31 verse 24. Then God came to Laban in a dream by night, and said to him, Take care that you say nothing good or bad to Jacob. Genesis 31 verse 25. Now when Laban overtook him, Jacob had put up his tent in the hill country, and Laban and his brothers put up their tents in the hill country of Gilead. Genesis 31 verse 26. And Laban said to Jacob, Why did you go away secretly, taking my daughters away, like prisoners of war? Genesis 31 verse 27. Why did you make a secret of your flight, not giving me word of it, so that I might have sent you away with joy and songs, with melody and music? Genesis 31 verse 28. You did not even let me give a kiss to my sons and my daughters. This was a foolish thing to do. Genesis 31 verse 29. It is in my power to do you damage. But the God of your father came to me this night, saying, Take care that you say nothing good or bad to Jacob. Genesis 31 verse 30. And now, it seems you are going because your heart's desire is for your father's house. But why have you taken my gods? Genesis 31 verse 31. And Jacob in answer said to Laban, My fear was that you might take your daughters from me by force. Genesis 31 verse 32. As for your gods, If any one of us has them, let him be put to death. Make search before us all for what is yours, and take it. For Jacob had no knowledge that Rachel had taken them. Genesis 31 verse 33. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent, and into the tents of the two servant women, but they were not there. And he came out of Leah's tent and went into Rachel's. Genesis 31 verse 34. Now Rachel had taken the images, and had put them in the camel's basket, and was seated on them. And Laban, searching through all the tent, did not come across them. Genesis 31 verse 35. And she said to her father, Let not my lord be angry because I do not get up before you, for I am in the common condition of women. And with all his searching, he did not come across the images. Genesis 31 verse 36. Then Jacob was angry with Laban, and said, What crime or sin have I done that you have come after me with such passion? Genesis 31 verse 37. Now that you have made search through all my goods, what have you seen which is yours? Make it clear now before my people and your people, so that they may be judges between us. Genesis 31 verse 38. These 20 years I have been with you. Your sheep and your goats have had young without loss. Not one of your he-goats have I taken for food. Genesis 31 verse 39. Anything which was wounded by beasts I did not take to you, but myself made up. For the loss of it, you made me responsible for whatever was taken by thieves, by day or by night. Genesis 31 verse 40. This was my condition, wasted by heat in the day and by the bitter cold at night. And sleep went from my eyes. Genesis 31 verse 41. These 20 years I have been in your house. I was your servant for 14 years. Because of your daughters, and for 6 years I kept your flock, and 10 times was my payment changed. Genesis 31 verse 42. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac, had not been with me, you would have sent me away with nothing in my hands. But God has seen my troubles and the work of my hands, and this night he kept you back. Genesis 31 verse 43. Then Laban, answering, said, These women are my daughters, and these children my children. The flocks and all you see are mine. What now may I do for my daughters and for their children? Genesis 31 verse 44. Come, let us make an agreement, you and I, and let it be for a witness between us. Genesis 31 verse 45. Then Jacob took a stone and put it up as a pillar. Genesis 31 verse 46. And Jacob said to his people, Get stones together. And they did so, and they had a meal there by the stones. Genesis 31 verse 47. And the name Laban gave it was Jegar-sahadutha, but Jacob gave it the name of Galeed. Genesis 31 verse 48. And Laban said, These stones are a witness between you and me today. For this reason its name was Galeed. Genesis 31 verse 49. And Mizpah, for he said, May the Lord keep watch on us when we are unable to see one another's doings. Genesis 31 verse 50. If you are cruel to my daughters, or if you take other wives in addition to my daughters, then though no man is there to see, God will be the witness between us. Genesis 31 verse 51. And Laban said, See these stones and this pillar which I have put between you and me. Genesis 31 verse 52. They will be witness that I will not go over these stones to you, and you will not go over these stones or this pillar to me for any evil purpose. Genesis 31 verse 53. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, be our judge. Then Jacob took an oath by the fear of his father Isaac. Genesis 31 verse 54. And Jacob made an offering on the mountain, and gave orders to his people to take food. So they had a meal and took their rest that night on the mountain. Genesis 31 verse 55. And early in the morning Laban, after kissing and blessing his daughters, went on his way back to his country.